So this was a cartoon that attracted a lot of attention and got 15 shares. And so the guy is saying, well, you see, the problem is that obesity runs in the family. And the doctor says, no, the problem is that nobody runs in your family. And a lot of people on my Facebook liked the post. And they, there is there's like a fitness fad going on all around the world. It's huge. And so my teacher from New York enlightened me quite a fair bit. And for me, I compare his information from with the results that I see all around me, right? The cons of running is tremendous. Okay, part of the reason I personally don't like running, so I like other forms of exercise, right? But he's going to share with us like the cons of running. What I know, it's like really bad for the knees. I know a huge marathon runner in my life. He is super, super popular and he's super famous within the marathon circle in Singapore for having run over 300 marathons. Crazy number of marathons. And his knees are shot. He walks in with pain every single day. And another friend of mine, she's a huge fan of running. She's always putting up, Endomondo, when they run a certain distance for how long. She's always putting that up. And she's like, yeah, I did it. What people don't know, but I happen to know, is that she falls sick so often. She falls sick so often. It's like, okay, so that's one. And the last story, this really, really fit and lean yoga teacher, and some of the yoga can be really dynamic. And so when I first saw her, being an intuitive coach, I didn't feel like something was a bit off, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And later on, I got to see her in a healing class, and she is in the best of the best yoga schools in Singapore, like the high end, like the Shangri-La of yoga schools. And then after that, she admitted that, she had actually had a lot of health challenges. A lot. She couldn't sleep. She couldn't digest the food properly. So is running the key to weight loss?
Well, first you were talking about marathon runners, right?
Yep.
We need to remember that running marathons is a sport. It's not something that you do for health. It's not a health improvement activity. It's a sport activity. Just like boxing is a sport activity, MMA is a sport activity.
But a lot of people go into it to get massively fit. That's one of their goals.
Right. Massively fit in what way? In that specific sport, right?
I guess being able to endure.
They're confusing fitness of general health versus being fit in a specific sport. So if I want to be a fit cyclist, I need to cycle. But that doesn't mean I'm going to be, health-wise fit, I know it's confusing, but meaning fit for the task, right? So if you're a cyclist and you want to be good at it, then you need to ride a bike a lot. You need to do a lot of endurance training. But endurance training or cardio training doesn't equate to making you healthier.
So I think to begin with, and I know the big question is running a key to weight loss, which people may want to answer, but we'll wait for it, right? I think the first thing is to define what truly is health. Dr. Yuan defines fitness as a combination of agility, being able to coordinate really well, being able to have high endurance, speed, strength, and flexibility, right? I guess the different sports out there, they train you in different combinations of this, right? So which sport is really healthy for you? But let's answer the question first. You want to talk about the marathon first? You're just saying that there's a difference between being an athlete and being super healthy?
Yeah, being an athlete doesn't necessarily mean that you're healthy. It just means that you're very good at the specific sport or sports. Right?
So so we'll define being healthy as someone with a lot of energy, correct? Like a lot of energy throughout most of the day. Um, Somebody that hardly falls sick, right? Who has a very strong immune system, correct?
So, yes, has a lot of energy, but make it more specific that their organs are functioning optimally.
So
That
every
their
single
body
organ,
is at
tissue, and
ease.
cell is functioning properly. That's a good one.
Their body is at ease. If their body is not at ease, they're not healthy.
Would it
Or
mean
if you want to look at from the if you want to look at it from the qigong perspective, if the qi is flowing and there's no blockages, then you're healthy. If there are blockages, then you're already in disharmony or dis-ease
oh, so
or not as
being
healthy.
so being at ease? Okay, so when your organs, your tissues, your cells are all functioning properly, you will end up with much less aches and pains. Is that correct?
Because everything is going to function optimally.
Oh, this
Because
reminds
there's no
me of
tilt, there's
my
no strain.
this reminds me of my acupressure class, and they were saying that people who were not like who were about to fall ill or something was not working well in their bodies, they're about to fall seriously sick. One of the signs is that they have aches and pains in certain parts of their body, and it's like a clue to which part is not actually doing well. Is that correct?
So if you, let's say, if you know the, let's say, the meridian lines or the meridian points, and you press there and it's tender or painful, that means there are some blockages going on. It's not flowing. And
Oh,
when something is not flowing, you get stagnation. And then stagnation, leads to infestation, et cetera, et cetera.
what's the difference? Okay, side note, what's the difference between stagnation and congestion? They sound the same.
Well, congestion is after, right? Stagnation means there's no movement and then it builds up. The congestion builds up,
Got it.
right?
And then infestation and parasites.
So infestation, so after you have stagnation, and what was the one you just said? Congestion, right?
Yep.
Then what happens? It gets infested with whatever not good stuff.
Right.
It gets infested with viruses, et cetera, et cetera.
I think this. Okay, so the aches and pains in particular points of your body is showing that there's some stagnation in the flow of qi, and the buildup of stagnation will lead to some congestion, and eventually you're prone to infestation from viruses, bacteria, and whatnot. And then parasites would come in. Is that common?
Parasites. No, parasites is something that you ingest or goes inside you. But inside your body, when you have toxins, that's going to build up, right? Because when you eat food or when your body breaks down, there are toxins there. So when you eat food, it breaks down, it creates bacteria, right? Bacteria goes into your system, and then, yeah.
What I remember really strongly from a friend of mine, he was saying that, he was just comparing about the human body. Like, okay, so he was saying that rats don't come willy-nilly. It's only when the environment is, when you provide the food for them, then they come. So it's like ants in the kitchen, right? If there's no sugar left around or whatever food's left around, the ants won't come. But if there is stuff around, the ants would come. So same thing with our bodies, I suppose. Like if it's an environment that is not clean, that is not thriving, that is not functioning well, and if it's like dirty, like not functioning well with, I guess what you're saying is waste products or toxins build up, and then you have the, infestation, whether it's viruses, bacteria, fungi, or parasites, correct?
Yeah.
Yep, I love it. So we have just defined what it means to be truly healthy. It's to have high energy, to have all your organs, your tissues, your cells functioning properly, and your qi is flowing well. So, and you're free from aches and pains. So I kind of had a little tiff. I had a little tiff with this guy who was doing Tough Mudder. I was just asking him what his goals were, I don't know, he seemed to be really proud of whatever he was doing, like the challenging. I guess it's just different goals. How he would be challenging his spirit to endure this ridiculously tough race. And he's saying he's like really healthy. So when I asked him the list of what he's actually trying to achieve, right, the one thing that he said that he doesn't, he has a lot of aches and pains. And so that's not something I want to do, like Tough Mudder Race, Spartan, Marathon, or the title of the Facebook Live, running. Can you tell us a little bit about what are the cons of running?
Okay, so first
and also maybe weight loss.
Weight loss. Okay, so first I'm going to share there are two types of runners. Well, there's three, but we're going to talk about the two main types of runners that you see out there. There's the runners who are very, very skinny, right? And when we're talking about specifically about weight loss, so that's why I'm only going to pick these two types of runners. So, and we're talking about long distance runners, people who run for hours, not sprinters, short sprints. So these long runners, you'll find that they'll tell you every time, if I stop running, I'm going to gain weight. Right? So they're always running, and then they tell you running is the best thing for them. Then you have the other type of runner who, no matter how much they run, they don't lose weight. Some of them actually start to gain weight.
Yeah.
So I'm going to explain a little bit about the science behind it. And I'm not going to go into the detail of the breakdown of the physiology part because, to be honest, I don't remember it anymore. But I can explain it very simple. When you're running, right, what you're doing is let's say you're burning a certain amount of calories, right? So what happens, let's say you run 10 kilometers, right? And when you first started running 10 kilometers, you're knocked out at the end. So what happens is your body is finding ways to run very efficiently. So the more efficient your body is able to do that task, which is running, the less calories you're burning. So if your goal is weight loss, it means that if you don't feel the same intensity that you felt on the first day of running 10 kilometers, now you got to double it. Because before it took you 10 kilometers and you were knocked out. You burned 5,000 calories. I'm just giving you a number example. Now, it's 3 weeks down the line, you're running 10 kilometers, you're only burning 1,000 calories. So now if you're saying that the more calories you burn, the more weight you lose, then at the more times you're running those same 10 kilometers, the less calories you're burning. So you need to double it, and you got to keep increasing it. At the end, you're going to reach a plateau because your body's going to become more and more and more and more and more and more efficient.
So you're saying that the cardiac
system,
system, primarily in the respiratory system and everything else in the body, like you become more efficient. Does the metabolism get boosted?
Not during the run, no. Because people do exercise, they want to burn calories during the time that they're exercising, right? So as their body becomes more and more efficient, the less and less calories it's burning. Meaning the less energy it needs, because calories basically is energy. So the less energy the body is actually burning. So at the beginning they'll lose some weight and then they'll stop from it. Now, the second part with like endurance type of training or cardio training is that if I remember correctly, after 18, so when you're doing any kind of strenuous activity, you start to build stress hormones. One of them is called cortisol, and you build that up. So what happens is when you're running, I think if I'm not mistaken, it's up to 18 minutes. So if you're doing any kind of, let's say endurance activity, your body can build up that stress hormone for 18 minutes, and then once you stop, it can go back it can normalize, right? So that means whatever stress hormone gets built up, now the body can counteract it and bring it back to normal. Anything after 18 minutes, that stays lingering in your body all day. So what happens when you have a lot of stress hormones in your body? One of the things that it does is it makes you gain weight.
Yep.
Another thing is other health, when you have too much stress hormones in your body, it starts creating an imbalance in your hormonal system, and that creates other health issues. So if you're doing so this is why those people who cannot lose weight at running like marathon runners who are overweight, it's because they have a lot of stress hormones lingering in the body.
And also, the way that they're doing the exercise, I take a lot of walks, and so I will be looking at the runners. They look so intense, and they don't look happy. They look grumpy, like they're forcing themselves to run.
Well, first of all, also on this, the other problem is here with runners is that if their alignment is not optimal, their skeletal alignment is not optimal, the more it's out of alignment, the more pressure they're putting on their skeletal system. So let's say when your alignment is optimal, the way it's supposed to be, even then when you're running, you're putting a lot of stress on your system. But then if you're running, if you're out of alignment, you're putting a lot more stress, and that's where you're getting all the knee pains, low back pains, head pains, shoulder pains, neck pains, ankle pains.
which you see a lot in your
you see,
work, right?
Yeah, but you see a lot of runners. If you know any runner that was running for a long time, they all have pains. The only ones that don't really have a lot of pains are the ones that prepare properly. But again, they're athletes. They're not doing it for health. They're doing it for a specific thing. Their sport.
Is prepare properly. What do you mean by that? Because everybody thinks of warm up and warm down.
No, meaning that they're doing supplementation. They're doing body alignment exercises, stretches. They're analyzing their gait and how they're running to make sure that they're running correctly. That's what I mean. But the weekend warrior that's running on the weekends, they're not looking at any of that. And then they're mistakenly assuming that workout, that running that they do on the weekend is actually helping their health, and it's not.
I guess part of what quite a number of them are doing is for the endorphin high, correct?
Well, that's how they get addicted to it. Those who are addicted they're addicted to the endorphin high.
Right.
Yeah.
So
a lot of people are doing it because they've been told that running is good for you. But if you look in, let's say, in the Chinese system, like the Qigong system, or even let's talk about the Qigong Tai Chi system, the way they improve the cardiovascular health is with slow movement, not with fast movement. So their heart rate should be under 100, not above 100. And in the Qigong and the Tai Chi and in the yogic system, the lower the heart rate is while you're doing activity, the better it is for your heart. In the cardiovascular system, the modern system, they're talking about straining the heart. The higher it can go, not too high, but the higher it can go, the better it is that you're challenging your heart.
So is there value to that?
There is actually modern research to prove that practicing Tai Chi and Qigong actually improves your cardiovascular system. So meaning doing slow movements where you're working on lowering your heart rate while you're doing your movements is actually better for the heart, actually good for the heart.
So if I could recap, correct me if I get anything wrong. There are two kinds of runners. The one that do long distance are super skinny and they cannot stop running. What will happen if they stop running? They would gain weight.
No. I'm talking about the ones who are doing it for weight loss, right?
Right.
This is because we're talking about specifically weight loss, because there are runners, let's say from Africa, where they're naturally born marathon runners, and in their ancient times they were runners. That's how they were messengers. They ran. It's part of their DNA. But we're talking about specifically the two types of runners for weight. They're doing it for weight loss. So there's one, they're super skinny, but as soon as they stop, they gain weight. So they always tell you, if I don't run today, I'm going to gain a lot of weight. So if I don't run at least 3 times a week, then I'm going to put on 5 pounds very easily, or 5 kg very easily, So
And the other type is the one
the ones that they're running and running and running, and they still stay heavy.
So
or
I like
gain weight.
It makes sense. Like if they start running 5 kilometers and then they start losing weight, and then the body becomes more efficient, but in order to burn the same number of calories, they have to do like 10, and they have to keep upping it, like go longer distance to burn the same amount of calories, because their body becomes more efficient, right? So it's not really a key to weight loss. That's one. And then you talked about the stress hormone whenever we're doing strenuous activity. I guess if we run with joy, a sense of joy and freedom, would that be good? Because you mentioned if we do a strenuous activity, running, all right, the body produces stress hormone, and if it's within 18 minutes, the body can metabolize the cortisol, any stress hormone that's produced in the body, and so it rebalances the body. But if you do it excessively, the stress hormones is going to be floating around the body and causing havoc, right, in different conditions.